Hi guys, and welcome to another Fool of the Week. This week's Fool is Peter Hitchens, author and commentator. So first of all, I can't be sure if Hitchens is engaging in some sort of edgy political discourse that makes him sound like a massive Jeremy Hunt, or if the lift just doesn't reach the top floor. So he appeared on GB News, which has become a lot more regular of late, to talk about asylum seekers and immigration. You see, Peter doesn't like the term asylum seeker because it conjures up ideas in his head that don't match the reality on the ground. He also believes that people in France who want to come to Britain should stay in that country. Why? Well, I'll let Peter explain.
The problem with it for me is this. If you are an asylum seeker, what you're doing is you're fleeing from persecution or danger of some kind. And if that's the way you choose to come into this country, then what you're saying is you're so desperate to get out of where you've come from that you will go practically anywhere to get out of it. And therefore you can't really pick and choose your conditions. If they'd come as migrants applying legally to enter the country on work visas, then they can work. I completely accept that this is wholly broken down, that the whole system of asylum has been so totally abused over so many decades that it's no longer true. But it just seems to me that it has to be mentioned from time to time that what we are actually dealing with here is illegal immigration, not people genuinely in search of asylum. Almost every single one of the people who comes here claiming asylum has come from France. Now, I accept that the quality of the coffee has declined in France recently, and there are one or two other things wrong with it. I don't actually much like the TGVs, but it's not a dangerous country.
It certainly is not.
It's not a dangerous country. There isn't any oppression there. There isn't any persecution there. So they can't be coming here as asylum seekers. They have to be coming here for... So can we, in our public discourse, just stop using this expression? It simply is...
What would you call them instead, then?
I call them illegal entrants. That's what they are. They've come here illegally across the Channel without going through passport control to leave France or to enter this country. They've come here, and they've come here claiming to be something which they plainly, axiomatically are not, because unless people are going to come to me and say France is an unsafe country, you cannot say that these people are seeking asylum. How do you do it? How can you do it? And whenever I say this in any kind of public forum, where there are people in favour of unlimited immigration present, they fall silent because they cannot think of any response to this. So I'd be fascinated to know if there's anybody who can tell me why it is that we have to carry on pretending that these people are asylum seekers when they aren't.
I will do it, Peter. First of all, does he not understand the difference between people passing through France and people from France? They're not French people claiming asylum from France. Anyway, if there are no safe routes, then how are people supposed to come to Britain? If people want to claim asylum in Britain, how can they come to Britain unless they're travelling through France if there are no safe routes from other parts of the world? Like from, for example, Ukraine. I don't know if that route has been closed off, but there was a safe route from Ukraine. People could get on a plane from Ukraine or from Poland and fly to Britain and claim asylum there, or at least some sort of safety there. That was a safe route. Now, once again, I don't know if it's still open, but if there are no safe routes, then how are people supposed to arrive in Britain? Also, it isn't illegal to claim asylum in Britain. The term illegal migrant or illegal entry that he prefers would require some law being broken. What law is being broken, Peter? How can you break a law if the law doesn't exist? And I've asked this question before. Was if they are illegal, as the Tories and the right wing and others like to say, well then why aren't they in prison? Is it because the prisons are full? That's why they're not in prison? Is it because the police are too busy doing other things? Is that why they're not in prison? Or is it because maybe they haven't actually broken a law? Because there is no law. When he said about France, once again, well, there's no obligation on people seeking asylum to stay in France. There's no obligation on people to stay in the first quote-unquote safe country. This is once again a narrative being pushed by those on the right. Well, you must stay in this first safe country. Okay, point to the UN convention that says people have to stay in the first safe country, because it doesn't exist. But even if it were a case, well, there should be some sort of obligation on them to stay in the first safe country. Well, what do you think would happen? So let's take an example like Afghanistan. People are fleeing the Taliban. they go to Iran, for example. And what if hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people move from Afghanistan into Iraq, into Iran? What could happen there? It could destabilize the country. Then what could happen? Iran becomes destabilized. Refugees flee Iran to Iraq, or from Iraq into Syria, Syria into Turkey. This wouldn't happen overnight, but it could happen over a period of time. And then what happened in Turkey? Destabilize the country. People leave. Refugees from Afghanistan originally flee from Turkey into Greece, and then destabilize Greece. This is the problem here, about saying people need to stay in the first safe country. Because the first safe country, if the obligation was on people not to move from that safe country, then that safe country could become destabilized by the number of refugees and asylum seekers. It's just, once again, these people don't have, is it, as I asked, started at the beginning, is this Peter Hitchens trying to play some sort of mental game with us, or is he just really dumb? And finally, at the end, he mentioned the straw man, unlimited migration. These people who support unlimited migration, who are these people? And what do you mean by unlimited migration? Because for most people, they say, well, look, if there are jobs available here, then, and we can't fill them with people from the local area, then why not allow people in to fill these jobs? If there are no jobs available, then economic migrants will not come to your country. Like, just think about it logically. I know maybe this is difficult for Peter Hitchens, but if there are no jobs in an area, then economic migrants are not going to go there. This is separate from asylum seekers. If there are jobs available, then you will have economic migrants. Once again, economic migrants are there because they want to improve their lives economically. If there are no jobs available, then they're not going to come, or they're not going to stay. I don't think this is very difficult to understand. And it's quite sad because this guy is being held up as some sort of intellectual, and he doesn't seem to understand the difference between an economic migrant, an asylum seeker. He doesn't understand that there are UN conventions that don't require people to stay in the first safe country, whatever a safe country is. And he doesn't seem to understand the difference between somebody passing through France and a French citizen. The people who are arriving in Britain are not French people saying, I'm fleeing France because the coffee is bad, or because the trains are dirty or unreliable. Don't think that's really the case in France anyway. Does he understand what he's actually saying? Or, as I said before, is it just an attempt to appeal to a certain section of society? Maybe the section that tune in every day to watch GB News. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think, and I'll see you next time for our next Fool of the Week.